folded into a main membership. So all of our classes are included for members. If you're just on a punch card or something, there's a drop-in option. So we do have other people come from the community who maybe are not full-time athletes or even our part-time athletes, but otherwise our part-time and full-time memberships, we try to keep it all within the membership.
Yeah, thank you.
Is the PT also a female? You said the yoga specialist is
so no,
definitely...
our PT is a man. His name is Billy Benz. He's got Mendocino Physical Therapy. He's fantastic. And he does have, in addition to him, he has one other female PT that works with him, and then 3 PTA assistants who are female. And and so he's mostly, and all of the women in our gym, I mean, as athletes, we're all like, give me the information. I'm not particular. I trust you. Let's go. We're doing the physical work. So far he's like, I'll back out and let my female PT teach it. But honestly, everyone in our gym who's worked with him or is familiar, they're like, we don't care. We want the information. You've got the information.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
While we're on the topic of pelvic floor and PTs and collaborating with them, has anyone who hasn't put in the comments yet had any success with partnering up, or your coaches getting a certification and then offering, say, personal training sessions that are geared towards females as another source of revenue, or anyone wanted to add anything to that? Do you find too, and this might be like a little off, but I'm also seeing a lot of programs geared towards moms and their little ones. Has anyone, and I saw in the comments, someone has a female exclusive gym, if I read that, female. But have any of you created a class that was geared just towards women or for moms and their kids? I see like dumbbells and diapers sometimes come up on my news feeds, or take into consideration the time of when to offer it, and whether they found that as a good opportunity to attract new members with a time that might have been tough on your schedule, that might not have been accessible by other ladies. No one. I used to have
sorry.
Oh, no.
We did a program at our gym called Hot Girl Hour, and I'm in North Carolina at Washington Park CrossFit. And it was for women who were a little bit too intimidated to try our 1-week free trial, and just jump into a CrossFit class. So we went over the very basics of the different Olympic lifting. We did some gymnastics, and we limited to like 12 ladies, and they all learned a ton. And we've had a really good turnover for membership from those programs.
That's great. I love the title.
Yeah.
I saw also that one of our coaches, BirthFit, it says, we're lucky one of our coaches is BirthFit certified. She has a mom class. She runs late morning, pre and postnatal. Rebecca, can you speak to that class?
Yeah, I'm Rebecca, Grand Mesa CrossFit, right outside of Austin, Leander, Texas. Krista's been with us, I want to say 4 years ago, attended the BirthFit seminar, has gone on to follow-up seminars, and started a class specifically geared towards women that are pre and postnatal, work on pelvic floor. So it's fun. We have an 8:30 and 9:30 a.m. class, and about 10 a.m. the ladies gather in the back. And the cool thing is they all have little ones that they bring in. So we have a nice like turfed area, and they're moving, definitely not at the intensity that a normal CrossFit class would go. And it's just a very welcoming area for ladies who are not quite ready for the intensity, or they're getting, I don't know, they're still moving. And she tailors the workouts based on what she's been trained at the BirthFit, I guess, certification.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah. And this is like on the other end, but has anyone had any questions or have any resources about like menopausal? This is something that has come up to me where there's just not a lot of research put out there. And it just seems like it, depending on what your demographic is like. Someone just put their hand up, please, or was that saying, I have no idea, I have no resources? Yeah, I just got asked that question recently. Oh, Stacy Sims. Yes, that was who we spoke about this morning. And myself and another owner are doing an amazing job disseminating research on menopause. Yeah, she is a great resource. Yeah, in terms of any class, like any, so have we exhausted the programs? Has anyone else done anything with classes? Years ago, I used to do a stroller class, and it was just trying. My objective was to create an environment with getting moms who wouldn't necessarily come in, who were working from home, and get them into the gym and get them feeling comfortable. And it was at a non-peak class hour. Hey, Kristen, you put up your hand.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, so that's actually how I got my start too. I'm Kristen Brown, affiliate since 2010, and I'm in Eagle, Idaho. This is my life partner and business partner, Allie. And so I started also in stroller classes, but it was actually Stroller Strides franchise about 20 years ago. And what I started noticing is that the moms wanted to stay after class. It was less about the workout and more about the connection. And so once I got into CrossFit, about 8 years into affiliacy, I created a side program called Project Unbroken. And we would meet just for 60 minutes and work out for 40 and then kind of chit chat at the end. And then I ended up noticing again, they're sticking around, they're wanting to talk and connect. So I added in kind of journaling at the end and moved it now to a 90-minute class. So it's a full-fledged CrossFit workout and then 30 minutes of journaling. I started adding in topics that we would discuss, like hope and forgiveness and grit and things like that. And it became a full-fledged kind of program within itself. And then I took it to the road and started doing retreats and just kind of, it grew from there. But what I really noticed is I wasn't fit. It almost became a therapy style gig. And I didn't feel that fit to lead. And then just so turns out that Allie's a mental health therapist. So we kind of have been combining our efforts and continuing like that Project Unbroken. And it's been a really cool kind of add on. And we just offer it like as a drop in on our, from our page for women to join. And it's an additional fee. They want to talk and connect. And so that's been like really huge for us.
Wow. How many people attend, or how many women attend those classes like at a time?
So I think 15 on average. And then, Allie's done a lot of group therapy and you can maybe speak on that.
Yes, I've been a mental health therapist for 5 years and I specialize in trauma and I've done a lot of group therapies. And so I've added mental health skills that I teach in these groups, emotional regulation, coping skills, and just talking about the tough stuff that we all go through. In order to equip them with something they can actually apply to their life, not only in that group, but also like in their life and with their kids. And so we've kind of started to create a curriculum that we've been using. And 15
is about it, right?
And 15 is about it. Yes. Just for everyone to be able to talk and connect. And that seems like a solid group. We have thought about adding additional groups. So rather than just doing one, we do a couple at a time in order to meet the needs of all the women that want to do that.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Can we do a smaller group for affiliate owners? Like we all need.
That's a really good idea.
Absolutely. I would love that.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for Kristen and Allie off of that? Karen had mentioned she loves that you're including mental health. And kind of going back to you saying like it's just a haven to connect. Are there any, and to kind of veer off of the programming question I had initially, what community events or that are specific to women have you all done, or maybe you haven't done, but you might be thinking about it? Does anyone have anything to share that was just like such a huge success, whether it's a workout, whether it's outside of a workout? I see a hand up, Allison.
So this is going back quite a few years, but at one point I had another manager at the gym and she was a female as well. And we did it was a girls' night at the gym. And what we did to make it, we had a small workout and it was fun. It was like just a little boot camp station style workout, nothing crazy, but we had all vendors that were female owned businesses. So whether they were people that worked in the gym, we reached out to people in the community and we had kind of like stations around the gym. We had somebody who did food, somebody who sold, I think it was like LuLaRoe at the time or one of those, jewelry, wine, all kinds of stuff. And it was a really fun night that we were like girls only. We closed the gym. We canceled like the last PM class and it was all ladies working out, networking. And it was really successful.
Did you find that you attracted a lot of people or a lot of ladies that weren't members of your gym from just based on casting a larger net, or was it just
not really? Everyone was pretty much internal unless somebody brought maybe like a close friend, but it was really kind of more about like celebrating the ladies who were in the gym and again getting to kind of share businesses and what we do outside the gym and things like that.
Amanda Long had mentioned she did a ladies' night expo as a casual event where everyone was able to dress in non-gym clothes. Also Karen did women wine WOD event. I've gone back and forth too with having an event that didn't have a workout included, where if I had a lot of potential members who were like, no, CrossFit's not for me, or I'm just not there to prioritize it, I try to get them in the door, whether it was like a yoga class or a social class, like woman wine, and just chatting to folks without that pressure of a class. And then also other times have incorporated a class in a workout. Has anyone found themselves strategizing to like, how can I use this as a forum to get people into my doors, maybe that I'm not reaching, like as like a, not to say referral, but I'm seeing we've done a few female self-defense classes with the local BJJ school, very popular, and it goes towards donations for a local women's shelter. Any I had a hand.
Yeah, we did when we did our Women Wine and WOD a couple years ago. We had, like you said, we had a couple vendors in there that were selling, jewelry and stuff like that. But when we did our event, you could buy a t-shirt and the money for the shirts actually went to a local nonprofit. So we had a girls' place is what it's called. It's like a young kids, girls supporting girls in sports. And so a lot of that money went to that organization. And so that actually brought in a lot of people that were not gym members just from that organization promoting the event as well.
That's great. I said our pelvic floor health seminars always attract non-members. That's great. And Susan, for your pelvic floor health seminars, do you partner with a PT outside of your gym, or are they?
Yes, we partner with a physical therapist they have a couple offices in this area. They're kind of regional. But they have a female therapist and she's their pelvic floor specialist and she's the one that gives the talks.
Okay, that's great.
Danielle,
Yeah.
do you mind if I jump in for a second?
Please.
Maddie Volk
Yes.
up at Harpoon. I own an affiliate up in York, Maine. Yeah, so something we've kind of been toying with, and I actually got this, Danielle, from our summit about a month ago, talking to the owner at CrossFit Casco Bay. So he's been running two kind of simultaneous programs, one called Dad Bod and one called Mom Bod. And it's kind of pulling in these targets towards really small group training. So maximizing at 5 participants. What I started to think about with this was I love the idea of the 5 participants. It creates this tiny cohort, but I feel like for what I've seen, and Danielle, you're kind of in this same stage, right? We have almost 2-year-olds that our time is limited when we have in the gym. And I feel like the moms that I'm approaching in my area are kind of along that same line. They're there. They really can only be there like maybe once, maybe twice a week. So what I was kind of expanding on in my brain, and we're thinking about doing this at the first of the year, is creating something called Harpoon Health at Home. So the idea would be that it's a mom bod class or dad bod class, and we have these connection points at one time during the week where they get to come in and work out with their cohort. But the idea is really that it's a lot of at-home stuff that they're going to be doing. So you really don't need a ton, right? Even if we use CAPS programming, you have a bunch of at-home options for workouts that can keep people connected. But what they also do for Casco Bay is they kind of, I think they use 10 touch points. We're going to simplify it and maybe do 5 touch points, but how can we create healthy habits along the way for these women where we're also creating a cohort? And can we talk to them more about like food prep for the week with, you know, a toddler at home? Like, how can I stay on track and keep them on track? And is it something that we can just drill down that? And that might be like a check-in for the day, you know, 10,000 steps. Are you getting vitamin D, or are you meditating for 20 minutes? But kind of like playing like this big picture of health and giving them a chance to come into the gym and like check positioning and, hey, am I doing a dumbbell snatch right? But also not really putting such a high demand on them being there 3 to 5 times a week. I think all of them would love to be there 3 to 5 times a week, but as we all know, if you do have kids, like it does get kind of challenging at times. So that's kind of an idea we're playing with, you know, making it small to start and expanding it and seeing if it's something we can kind of do as recurring intervals or maybe even like a monthly piece, but targeting moms specifically. So it's kind of like hitting what Kristen's talking about with her retreats, but on like a little bit tinier scale, but then also doing like some of these one-off, you know, one-off pieces where it's like a small group, prototype it, and then kind of roll it from there. So we're thinking about using SugarWOD just to be the home base for that, because you can create private tracks within SugarWOD itself, but then they also have the ability to kind of see other moms that are commenting or doing, you know, submitting their workouts for the day. What Nick Beal told me at Casco Bay is they just use a Google Sheet. He said it's a little bit clunky because, you know, on a phone, Google Sheets aren't super user friendly, but yeah, that's kind of just an idea we're tossing around, and it kind of speaks to like the full gamut of what we've all been talking about.
Maddie, Katie had asked, you know, how would you go about advertising people for these?
Yeah. So I'm in a really rural town of 15,000 people. So it really would be like word of mouth with ours, or, you know, maybe we have like a York, Maine moms group, you know, something to that effect. So maybe some Facebook advertising. That's kind of what we're playing with right now, is how do we get that word out? You know, those sandwich boards that you drive by at restaurants and they say, hey, starting January 1st, like you have this and that. That's something we're thinking about, like putting it at the end of our road and keeping it super grassroots. So yeah, really simple. We're not in a big city. It wouldn't be something where we're out, you know, publishing to a lot of social channels.
And you said once a week, Maddie, that they were meeting in the gym?
Yep.
And
so we're kind of talking about what we're like, it would be midday would be the goal for me. I don't like being there super late at night just because I like to have the nighttime with my son. But from what it sounds like, the Casco Bay group is really effective for their mom group at like 6:30 at night, because it's the time that they're like, hey, I'm going to go do this, you know, to their partners. So that's what he's found success with. But I think it's kind of just preference based on like what is available for your coaching staff.
And I had another question from Ashley about check-ins. And I assume if you're using SugarWOD, would you be using that as a platform to communicate with them, or do you have other ideas with?
Yeah, I think that would be where I'm planning on it, just because it keeps it so centralized, right? If you had too many platforms or channels, then like as the person who's managing this and trying to grow the community as a bigger perspective, it starts to get lost. And part of what I think is effective about this group and what is so effective about CrossFit in general is like the community support, but also like, I don't want to say peer pressure, but like, you know, if somebody's not posting for a couple of days and it's in one platform and then, you know, 3 other people are in a different platform, I don't really find it's as accountable, maybe, if that's the best word for it. So yeah, I think keeping it all in SugarWOD, and our community is awesome about popping into those and giving fist bumps and comments and keeping people's morale up, you know, whether they've met them or not. So that's just kind of like what we're thinking about right now. I haven't ironed out all the details, but.
Yeah. And Ashley was just curious, like a potential price point, or like,
so what Nick Beal does at Casco Bay, and like just kind of using his model, because they're in the state of Maine, would just be like $400 for the first 6 weeks. So it's a little bit, the way he said the math ends up working out, right, is if whoever is managing it, the person that's managing it basically spends about an hour a week, like creating the workouts, spending the time being with them, and then, you know, checking in with people throughout the week. So it's not super time intensive, because you're just kind of pulling into a channel. And obviously the more times you do it, the more repetitive it gets. So yeah, I think 400 is what they land on for 6 weeks. But I think my goal would be to do that to get kind of a base subscription, and then have people do it on a recurring monthly model. I don't know about that.
Yeah, someone had posted Trainerize.
Okay, cool. I'll look into it.
I forget, is anyone here have a Precision Nutrition? They had an app too that was habit-based app. I think it was like $99 a month for the subscription. I don't know if you've looked into that.
Those are great ideas. Thank you.
Yes, I do nutrition coaching for PM. Push Press just released a habit tracking feature as well. There was also, I don't know if any of you recall Taylor Drescher. I always knew her as a CrossFit athlete, but she was really big with women and training, and had, she was never an affiliate owner, but she used to go around the area, and she at one point lived near me, and would do coffee and chat. And we would just do all work out together as a group, and then get some coffee and just chit chat and like just really open up to one another. And it was like usually a group of 10 people. And yeah, I think there's like a lot of opportunities to do that at our own affiliates that you guys are already doing. And I find, hey, I have to admit one thing on this call. I don't know why, but I feel more comfortable just being myself. And it's like, you're all females, and not to be like, get into like the gender thing, but like, yeah, I feel like this, not like, usually 150 people, I'm like really thinking about articulating myself. But I think there's just something to be said with kind of letting your guard down. And has anyone, and now I'm seeing some comments about hosting Coach Catalyst and Amazing for Habits. How many of you have or do host Girls RX events? I see a couple comments to that. Hosted twice, hosting again. On that end of things with competitions and internal throwdowns or any other larger events, does anyone want to go down that rabbit hole and share what they've done at their community? I see a nod, Tracy, or
Can hey, hello.
hey.
I don't have anything to speak on of that specifically, but I do, since we're on this topic, I just wanted to ask, like, if anybody had, I would love to do that at my affiliate, but I have anytime I start to think about hosting something like that, it seems so overwhelming to me, and I don't know where to begin. So if anybody has any recommendations on like how to go about starting something like that, or starting to plan something like that, or any resources that I could find that would help me to begin a process of doing something like that, I would love that input.
Yes. Has anyone, and are you speaking of Girls Gone RX or just in general? Like,
yes, yeah, that barbells for boobs, anything that's like kind of fundraising, alongside something with it, like in-house.
Yeah. Out of everyone on this call, has anyone had, I'm seeing, I don't want to just share anything I've done, but has anyone had success with doing any internal throwdowns or work collaborating with, say, Girls or RX? Allison?
Yeah, we haven't specifically done the Girls Gone RX, and I was not the physical planner of this, but with our owner, and we actually partnered with another gym that's like, we kind of call them our sister gym. We met them through Affiliate U, the Best Hour guys, and we actually do a throwdown with them. So it's kind of like a friendly competition. We did it at our gym one year, then the next year we did it at their gym. And we've also partnered with them to do like a barbells for boobs event, or this year, they're called Babylon CrossFit. So we called it Boobalon. And it went to a local breast cancer charity that the owner of that gym had a close relationship with. So we collected donations, and then we came together on a Saturday morning. We did Grace, we did the heats and all that. And they had raffles. All the part of the raffle money went to that charity as well, in addition to the donations. And it was really successful. It got people really into it. We did it in the month of October, breast cancer awareness and whatnot. So it was really successful. I do know, if you reach out to the Best Hour guys, they do have some stuff about generally planning in-house competitions that they may be willing to share with you. They're awesome.
Yeah. And Ashley, I could put you directly in touch with Fern, Best Hour, to just like, so that you don't have to jump through hoops. So, and anyone, just to preface too, if you guys have any questions or want resources too, I'm going to follow up on this call with an email. So you have my direct contact info. Yeah,
Can I just be a hype woman for a second? You can do it. You've done the you've done the open 1,000 times. I'm sure it's the same thing, right? So like we've done in-house competitions. We just ran our third one. Doing the in-house competitions for us now has given me the confidence to try like an external competition or a fundraiser, kind of like what you're thinking. And that gave me like good visual to look on the floor if I'm doing a partner competition, like how many people can I realistically and safely do this? If it's people that are in-house, I feel a little more comfortable like being an absolute boss and being like, all right, stop what you're doing. Like we got to move you into this side room or whatever. When you're running a competition, you want it to be like super efficient. And so I think maybe if you're thinking about a bigger audience, start with the people that you're super comfortable with, and you're already doing that anyway. You do it in the open every year, I'm sure. So you know, use like some of the standards. Like that's what we always go back to is like, what were the standards that year, the year prior of like movements? And if you kind of set those out from the very beginning, then we brief with all of our coaches, here's the workouts, here is my flow. Like, what are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And you kind of just like test run with all the people that are going to give you honest feedback. But doing the internal stuff really has given us the confidence to be able to start to think about either like a fundraiser, but we'll probably do it more of like a summer competition style. But that you can do it. I can't even remember who asked that question, but you can.
I've hosted 2 Girls Gone RX, and we're hosting again in 2024. They're amazing to partner with. They do, like, they truly treat it as a partnership. They helped us a lot. And both years, so far, we brought 30 teams. I'm located in North Carolina, from all over the state of North Carolina, as well as South Carolina and Virginia. And we basically did it to where the guys were like the MCs, they were the judges. They really got into it. They now like take it and run with it. They create hype videos for it. And starting in 2024, Girls Gone RX is now going to have it to where it's a girls only, but they have a guys only. So we're going to flip flop it. So we're going to have a girls only Girls Gone RX where the guys are the judges. But later in the year, we're going to flip flop it and it'll be a guys competition only. And then the girls will judge for the guys and be the MCs. But they're outstanding to partner with.
If anybody doesn't know, I agree. Like Lindsay, the whole staff is really amazing. And they're new, right? They're a little bit new, like they're huge on the scene, but in a way they have taken over. If anybody doesn't know, Barbell for Boobs, when they folded, this is Girls Gone RX grew from being a little more local or state local in Colorado to a national, international organization kind of filling that space. And the one thing we always question is how we can partner with them and both do the fundraising piece for them, but also some benefit to a local charity or breast cancer resource center or something where we are. So that's been our one question. This year, I think we're taking on doing a dual power and Oli lifting comp with them.
That's great.
But super easy. They make it so easy. And just get their PDF and read it. You'll be like, oh, I can totally do this. I can totally do this.
I hosted my third Festivus games this past October, and it was the biggest competition that I've had here. I've only been an affiliate owner for a year. I was scared shitless the first time I ever hosted because it was right before I announced my takeover of the gym. And Maggie was amazing. She like literally held hands with us every step of the way, made sure you knew what you were doing, what your volunteers were doing. If you're looking to get into competition, I think that is a really good one to ease your way into. And she's just phenomenal. She did not, I mean, I was on the phone with her off to the side, and it was a really nice extra added income for my gym for 2 times a year. So definitely check out Festivus.
That's great. Thanks for sharing, Christina. I had Katie chime in too for running events. Start smaller than you think. You can always go bigger next time. I think also just piggybacking off of what Maddie said, like internally, I've always done internal events. I was really nervous to charge and go outside of the gym. And it was always a lot easier when I first started to not charge because the expectation's a little different. But I agree. Great, Katie, start smaller, get more volunteers than you think. feed and water your volunteers. We do the same for our summits. These guidelines is definitely how we run our summits too. We give you water, right? No, that's a bad joke. Sorry. Less is more with programming complexity, as well as the amount of divisions you have. Build in buffer time to your schedules so you can still end on time. You got this. But anyone else? I saw CrossFit King of Prussia. I don't know if Amy Leons is on this call, but she just she does it annually and just like does a huge build up on her social media for her women's event. And Sarah from Asbury Park, Sarah Murphy. I don't know if Sarah's on this call, but she also does another exclusive event for women. Does anyone else want to share? In terms of fundraisers, we just saw a lot from October. Is anyone partnered with any organizations that they've had like a great experience with that was geared towards women, whether it's local or on a national level? No. Yeah, and I also saw, love this, event orders are your best friend. Here's an example of one I created for our first in-house. So Jen just shared on the chat here her event orders, if you guys are interested in copying and pasting that. Well, in terms of like moving off this topic, and you could always put in the chat any questions, but does have anyone, and it doesn't have to be geared towards women exclusively, it could be broader since we're all on here, but is there any burning questions or topics that someone wants to bring up?
I'll jump in again, Danielle, if you don't mind. So
I love it.
My son is 20 months old. Let me kind of summarize. So another dear friend of mine is right down the road. She owns CrossFit Portsmouth. She was my business partner, 11 years ago, and now has her own. She's just coming off of her second kid. I guess this is more of like a generalized question, and then kind of thinking what you guys are doing as a whole, but what is HQ doing? So when I was pregnant, I kind of set up the gym in a way that I thought was going to be incredibly successful with a head coach. The head coach ended up being a really bad fit. I let him go in October. I was due in April. Thankfully, my staff was really awesome. None of them are full-time beyond what I thought this head coach was. They're all part-time. And they really like took over and said like, hey, we really still want you to have like the experience that you were hoping for. So we've got this. And I ended up kind of getting really bad edema and really high blood pressure at the end. Yeah, shocking because I was still working out my whole fitness, my pregnancy, right? But we all get different kind of like scenarios in our pregnancy. So I ended up kind of having to back off the coaching schedule for the final month. I wanted some sort of maternity leave because you all know that like as an affiliate owner, you probably don't get like a true maternity leave like a lot of people whenever they are, stepping away from their careers. So I completely left the schedule for a month. I still ran payroll, still kind of made sure that people were around. The second month I was kind of itching to get back. And that was still really fast, right? Like I have friends that work for Fidelity and they get 4 months of maternity leave. So truthfully, I probably had like 8 weeks of like 90% of maternity leave, which is an amazing situation for me. In that, there was a little bit of like, I wouldn't say fallout per se, but I definitely felt like lack of, I felt like because I wasn't there, that there was like, people come to my gym because of me. And I'm now seeing the same scenario for my friend down the road. She had her second child, her head coach took over for her and did awesome, and then got burnt out and is also pregnant and is now leaving. And so it's kind of this like roller coaster reel that we all kind of feel that happens more often than not. So my thought with all of this, right, and I guess is like, is there anything that HQ can do to support women who are either in prep for having a baby and or post baby? And my idea would be this, like, it's not just a generalized question, but maybe like a thought. Nursing programs, traveling nursing programs are incredibly successful. Is there a way that HQ can create something, and maybe it starts with something like this for traveling coaches, where you require L3s to be a part of this affiliate listserv? But if you have this situation where you have somebody that's very high up in the helm or, does a lot in the day-to-day action, can we create something where I can post and say, hey, I need someone to come and cover for 6 months, you know, even though realistically, hopefully I'll only be gone, you know, 2 or 3 months, but I'd really like somebody to come in and be here for 6 months. I don't have a full-time job that will last forever, but I have a need for right now. That was like just a huge thing that I felt being a female affiliate owner, you know, obviously doing the best that I could, but that's just kind of a thought. And I wanted to see if other people were kind of feeling that same thing.
So if I understand correctly, kind of, and what I can speak to is potentially of a job board. That's kind of what I'm getting out of that. And that is something that's been talked about for a little bit. And we do have a product team, for those of you who aren't aware, just how things are being built out over the past couple years. We have a product team. What has been their biggest priority this past year that you hopefully know about is the directory page. That has been number one. And that's just an iteration of what you're seeing now. More to come of that page and its functionality. But what is on their list of things to look at is a job board. Carol, I don't know if you can speak to this. I have Carol on this call, but I know some of our other country managers have experimented with creating a job board, which I would say is a little bit, it's not polished, so to speak, in terms of like how you regulate that, and just in terms of our support. When I say support, like there's one of me for say 1,000 affiliates in the Northeast. So to monitor that would be like hiring another person, but it is being talked about. And it's something that I know I've had direct conversations with Austin Malleola, for example, of what's the timeline. And no one really wants to give a direct timeline on that, but it is something that's out there.
Danielle, do you mind if I jump in a little bit?
Yes, please, Katie.
I think everything she said is true, that we don't have a timeline for it yet, but they are currently talking with affiliate owners about what would be the needs, what would be, you know, best case scenario, what would be bare minimum that would be of use. And so I've already referred at least one affiliate owner to be a part of the, you know, whatever the group that they're kind of polling and discussing this with. So Madeline, if you might want to, I know everyone's like, well, then throw my hat in the ring, but I think it'd be good to have a mother also in there to speak, because I know the person I referred was a man. Don't know that he's a father, but regardless, every affiliate owner, you know, the dream, hopefully this is the dream, would be that you're not working in the business to the extent that you can't take a month to go live in the Bahamas and live your best life for no other reason than you want to, or a month to go have a baby. And let's extend that to however many months it needs to be, right? So that's universal. And I do think a job board can be a part of that. But beyond that, I think a lot of us are asking the same question of ourselves, especially if you take on a lot of the schedule for coaching. But even if you don't, there may be tasks that you're like, well, I was nursing the baby and doing payroll. It's like, well, why was there no one else that could do those tasks? So making sure that you're taking into account every single thing you do, from emptying that front trash can that all the other trainers forget about, to payroll, to, you know, the social posts, making sure that all of those jobs, you're accounting for them, you know what it costs to pay someone to do them, and you have kind of like that emergency plan for such instances. In terms of the job board, yes, some of the countries do things like a casual work registry sort of a thing. Right now, we do have the trainer directory. I have one affiliate owner. I didn't see that she's on the call, but she's in my area. She's in need, desperate need of a trainer for her own personal reasons. She has to take immediate leave, and the gym will collapse without it. So what I did is I helped her go through the trainer directory. We messaged anyone that was an L2 or above in the, I don't know what the radius was that we searched, but you can search by a zip code. And she heard back from someone within, like, you know, she sent it on a Friday, heard back within the weekend, contacted them, set up an interview, and she ended up getting that person in to be her full-time replacement until she's able to return through after her health stuff. So that was awesome. Doesn't always work out. And my other plan with her, if that was our first go, was the trainer directory. If anyone needs help accessing that, we can throw it in the chat, or you can reach out to Danielle or I. but it's on .com. The only reason I say that is because they've really been changing the website a lot. So I always am like, you'll find it. And then I go on, and I'm like, where the heck did they put it? But trainer directory is on there. Thank you, Carol. And you will not be able to directly message them. You're going to send the message through our website. They get a message from CrossFit that says someone is reaching out to you through the trainer directory. They can choose to respond. So if you don't hear back, go on to the next one, or send a blast to X amount of people. And then if you don't hear back, do a bigger radius. The other option, and this is all going to be dependent on where you're at, that we discussed with her, was to basically call up some of the owners and be like, look, I don't want to poach any of your coaches. I know you need them, but are there any that have been asking you for more hours? Here's my situation. Be vulnerable. I'm had a baby, gonna have a baby. In her case, it was some very serious health things. And I'm just asking if someone would want some hours, and I will take what I can get. I don't need someone full-time. If you can give me Monday, 5 a.m. for one coach, I will take it. I'm going to call the other one down the street. Just building that relationship. Sometimes they wish they could give more work to their trainers. And if they know that, in all honesty, you're not trying to steal anyone, and you're going directly to the owner and not to the coaches first. So anyway, sorry for the long spiel, but that could be a workaround. In the meantime, if any of you are in the mom category or future mom category, and you would love to be on that chat with the product team, Danielle and I can handpick one or two of you. So feel free to reach out to us, or you can respond to Danielle's email that the wrap up, and we'll choose so that voice is a part of the discussions as well. Thanks.
Yeah, no, that is tremendous, Katie. Thank you for sharing that. And I had a lot of comments in here, would love to hear more about like balancing motherhood, parenthood, maternity leave, running a gym. And I go right back to to answer your question too, Maddie, or speak to, what is CrossFit HQ doing? I think a lot of those resources that are rolling out are just that, to get perspective on how you can grow your business and move from being stuck working within to outside. And I'll be vulnerable to all of you. At one point, I took over a gym right before COVID, like immediately before COVID. I had this whole year to 2 years of knowing that I was going to be coaching a lot more than I expected from my other gym I had built. And then COVID hit, had a pivot, and then I got pregnant, and then my husband decided to have a career change as a fireman. So it was like right as my baby came, it was like the perfect storm of that. And and I think being able to plan for that, like Katie said, having an emergency plan, but having your team in place. And Best Hour is also a tremendous resource for building up your team. I say this because I have empathy, and I understand that it takes money, and that could take risk too, accounting for having to put people in places. But it's definitely like, we're in this for the long haul, not to be a affiliate owner until our lease is up, or for a couple years. So I'm always here too. If you find like you're super anxious about that, and in a place, because I know this is like an awkward forum to like get into it, but whoever your rep, or if it's Katie and you might find yourself in the Midwest and just want to connect with one of us, like we're here for any one of you, like to jump on a call and have a discussion, dive into, whatever it is that you're going through. So I just wanted to put that out there to you all.
Yeah, if your male reps just don't get it, call us. We're the only female reps, so we got you.
Yeah. But yeah, it's we have this vision of, if the attendance and you guys are finding value in these, like I think the best thing would be to get together in person. You can't beat in person meetups and having a forum for that. Katie and I just need to prove it to our team, or beyond our team, that it will be well received and attended, and there's value to it.
My region has Hawaii, so I think we should do the first female meetup there. You guys just vote on that.
Sorry, I was scrolling down the job board. What is the address for the coach's affiliate page? Someone had put that in there. yeah, on that note, I got Victoria saying you could use my gym, count me in. Yes, I say yes to Hawaii. Is there anything else? We have about 8 minutes here. Is in Brazil. I like Brazil too. Anything else anyone wanted to bring up here? As you all know, I like to chat a lot, so I'm always here after this call. But since we're
I
all
did have a question. I'm not sure, but I think you had been talking about publishing at the start of the year, like the summits and whatever events are actually being planned out, that we'd have a little bit more notice of that, kind of along these same lines. If there winds up being a female only, fantastic. But is that in the works, and when might we see that?
So for me, I'm the Northeast rep. I have planned on having what are affiliate meetups that are a little smaller than our summits, very much smaller, more localized. I do have a schedule with locations and those, and there's going to be 4 that I'll have scheduled out. I'm aiming for 2 weeks from now. And to be completely honest with you, like our team's been working hard behind the scenes to get our summits and all of the locations and dates nailed for the calendar, which we were finished. We were waiting for post open once all of that was announced. And to share with you, like our summits, if you have been to our summits, they're evolving. We're learning as we go. And so we're also exploring having locations outside of our affiliates because of the size of them. So that might be a little bit of a pivot to changing up the dates. So my long story is that I might not have the specific locations, or at least for our summits. We're actually, and this hasn't been like formally announced, but Katie, I could speak like we're looking to have at least 6 summits on the map. And as opposed to saying, hey, this is regional based, we want to be able to give everyone enough time in advance to look across the US. And all of the summits have been like, everyone can go to any summit. It just hasn't been put out like that. Like usually you have to ask a rep, hey, can I go to this one? So we want to make sure that the summits are accessible to you regardless of what region. So, so we're hoping before the end of the year. Katie, I don't know if you had anything to add to that or.
Yeah, I think we still need to meet and decide, but that's the last we heard, that we're trying to pick. We had cities, and now the cities might shift because of where how we're going to get locations picked, because I know a lot of affiliate owners want to host, but we might actually go a different way. I've been told Hawaii for affiliate summits might not be this coming year though, but the future. But I'm going to throw it in for the females only first, and then they might, and then maybe 2025. I think you said also that these will be not specific to your region. So you can go to the one that's closest to you, but you can also go to one that's nowhere near. If you've got family to visit, or there's some other reason for you to travel, or you just found a cheap flight and it makes sense, nothing will be, oh, it's only for this region or the next door region. Everything is open to everyone. That was the case this past year, but I don't think everyone really felt that. So yeah, once we post it, we're going to post so you can plan your schedule and what makes sense for you.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
question, Katie. And then like, if you guys have pressing questions about that too, shoot us an email. If you don't see it out there, generally, if you don't see it out there, it's not finalized. And Carol said, if anyone is planning a trip to Brazil anytime, please contact me. One thing that comes to mind, and she's based in your region, Katie, not an affiliate owner, but Sage Bergner, I think many of you follow her. She was instrumental in getting me into weightlifting and CrossFit. Like she used to have a blog called Sagealicious. Now, if you follow her, she has a camp called the Bad Bitch Camp. Not to curse, but she came up with the name. And it brings women together, and they use weightlifting for their forum. And then you hang out at Mike Bergner's house and do a sauna and do the whole ice plunge. And but I actually had reached out to her to be like, can we connect if we ever do something in person, at a prospective summit. But she's on to something, so, but yeah, well, one of my friends went and said it changed her life. I had two of my former coaches go as well. Well, guys, or ladies, I wanted to wrap this up. I know for those of you who want to stay on the call, I'll take the recording off and I can really be myself. No, joking. But if you want to hang out, if you have other questions or want to chit chat, and it might be like a smaller group, I'm planning on staying for about 10 minutes or so. I think we've exhausted the topics so far for the afternoon, so I'm not gonna keep keep this going. But please, like, use us as resources, and it goes both ways too. Like, you're gonna be seeing a lot out on Instagram, but like, please, like, your feedback. A lot of these calls come from people like yourselves being like, this would be a good idea. So we've been trying different things. So please reach out to us, and I appreciate you all. So thank you.
Someone was asking about the next one, Danielle. We'll set the date and you'll send it out in the email recap, right? We're going to keep them going.
Yes.
If you guys have topics you definitely want to make sure get hit on, you can message it to, you can reply to Danielle's email and let her know.
Please, we want these to be productive in the sense, like, you're feeling like you're connecting. We could also run in, if we keep having the amount of people that show up, we could also do breakout rooms where it's a little bit more like workshop platform. Hey, maybe we get Allison and Kristen.
We could also get a host, or not a host, sorry, a guest speaker. Like, we can bring on someone else if you guys, there's some pretty powerful female affiliate owners just in the US alone, but also worldwide. And if you guys would like to hear directly from them, Danielle and I can set that up. We can get a sage to come and talk about something. We can get different, I don't know that it would be necessary, but like a Girls Gone RX person to come and talk about what they do or whatever. We can definitely get more female business owners if that's a resource you guys would like to hear speak. And they can do part of the call. They don't have to do the whole thing. I'm just looking at the calendar, just with the holidays and everything. You can probably expect maybe somewhere in the week of the 11th or the 18th, probably, Danielle, right, of December would be when we would do this, just because we don't want it too close to this one. And then we're going to get into holiday and end of year stuff. So, but yeah.
Yeah. And just make sure you respond to that email, whatever you think you'll find value in hearing, where we want to hear from you guys. So, yeah. Well,